BrahMos missile defense system between BrahMos and the Ministry of Defense. Next, air-to-air missile cooperation agreement between Bharat Dynamics and Republic Corp.
Fighter jets don't usually escort just any aircraft into a country's airspace. But that's what happened this week when Indonesian jets accompanied Prime Minister Modi's plane as it approached Jakarta. By Tuesday, that welcome took on a more significant tone. In that room at the presidential palace, Indonesia made a decision years in the making. It will import India's Astra air-to-air missiles. The reason isn't merely diplomatic, it's about hard proof. Real battlefield proof from Operation Sindoor, which demonstrated how India's missile systems performed against actual Chinese-made weapons. Jakarta witnessed that performance and now wants the same power. Remember, Indonesian defense planners are already in the process of acquiring India's BrahMos supersonic cruise missile system. Now with Astra added to the arsenal, India's defense export story just got a lot bigger. Let's pause on the Astra missile because this is crucial. Astra is India's own homegrown, beyond visual range air-to-air missile developed by DRDO. For years, it was seen as India's alternative to imported systems. Then came Operation Sindoor. During that conflict, Pakistani jets targeted India armed with advanced Chinese PL-15 missiles. What happened next changed how the world views Indian weapons. One of those Chinese missiles landed intact on Indian soil without exploding due to a missile self-destruct feature. This anomaly gave DRDO scientists a unique opportunity to study a rival missile system closely and informed an accelerated upgrade of Astra. Today, Astra Mark I can reach about 160 kilometers. Astra Mark II, the upgraded version, is being extended to around 240 kilometers, placing it on par with top Western missiles like the Meteor. That's a significant improvement. India turned a close look at a Chinese weapon into momentum for its own missile program. This is why Indonesia wants it. When you can claim your missile has faced Chinese origin weapons in real combat and triumphed, that's no longer just a sales pitch. It's a record of performance. There's another reason why Astra is a big deal. At its core, Astra is designed for one purpose: to hunt down and destroy highly maneuvering enemy fighting aircraft long before a pilot can even see them. In modern air combat, the aircraft that fires first usually wins. And that is where beyond visual range missiles like Astra become game changers. For years, India depended heavily on imported missiles such as Russia's R-77 for this capability. Astra changes that equation. It gives India a fully indigenous BVR missile that can compete with some of the best systems in the service today. New Delhi has already placed a massive order worth roughly $424 million for around 400 Astra Mk1 missiles and related equipment. The missile is being integrated across some of India's most important combat platforms, including the Su-30 MKI, LCA Tejas and the naval MiG-29K fleet. For countries like Indonesia, the attraction is obvious. Indonesia Air Force operates on similar aircraft and can integrate Astra with minimal modifications. In other words, Astra is no longer just India's missile. It is becoming a serious export product in a region looking for dependable military partners. The China angle grows even larger because Indonesia is not the only country taking notice. Take the BrahMos cruise missile system. Indonesia is the third buyer on an expanding list. The Philippines led the way in 2022 by signing up for shore-based BrahMos batteries, and India has already sent multiple shipments to Manila. Then Vietnam quietly secured its own deal earlier this year, a contract reportedly worth around 6,000 crore rupees. Now Indonesia will join their ranks. Looking at a map reveals the pattern immediately. The Philippines, Vietnam and Indonesia all have maritime disputes or flashpoints with China. The South China Sea, the Strait of Malacca, these are areas where Chinese vessels have increasingly shown up, testing how far these smaller nations will yield. One by one, these countries are turning to the same source for assistance. Not the US, not Russia, India. What is developing here is a network. Coastal nations, all equipped with Indian missile systems, are capable of pushing back against Chinese naval pressure in their own waters. India's Defense Secretary made it clear at a global security summit recently. India is not just procuring weapons from others anymore, it's becoming a supplier. When three different economies, all wary of Beijing, choose India as their provider, it's not a coincidence. It's a strategy unfolding in real time. Missiles are just part of the India-Indonesia story. Talks in Jakarta also touched on critical minerals. India is investing in manufacturing steel, nickel and rare earth magnets in Indonesia, a nation rich in nickel reserves. For both countries, this means securing a supply chain that bypasses China, especially when Beijing controls much of the world's rare earth processing. Next are the ports. India and Indonesia are set to jointly develop Sabang port, located near the Strait of Malacca, one of the world's key shipping choke points. Here's the geography that makes it personal for India. Sabang lies only about 100 miles from India's Great Nicobar Port project. Two ports, two countries monitoring the same waters that China's navy increasingly wants to dominate. And then, almost tucked away in all of this, there's something India rarely gets credit for internationally. Indonesia has asked India to help build its own version of India's electronic voting machines. That's right, for a country that runs the largest election exercise anywhere on earth, that's India's democratic machinery becoming an export in itself. Now combine all of this and Jakarta sends a strong signal about where India sees itself in the world. Not as a country seeking a place at the table, but as a nation others want to sit with, especially with China looming over many of their decisions. Missiles proven against Chinese hardware in actual combat. Ports surveilling the same waters as India's Great Nicobar project. Rare earth magnets and nickel, critical materials the world is trying to secure outside of Beijing's control, now flowing through an India-Indonesia pipeline. A democracy of over 1 billion people, quietly exporting its election machinery. Modi's Indonesia visit concludes on July 8th. The tour continues, but the message from Jakarta has already landed. From Manila to Hanoi to Jakarta, the trend remains consistent. When countries look for ways to counter China without engaging directly, they increasingly turn to India first. India is not just observing the changes in the Indo-Pacific anymore. India is the one driving those changes.